Welcome to ChristiTutionalist Politics Podcast, aka CTP, in association with thelibertybeacon.com. And I am your host, Joseph M. Leonard, and that's Lenard. CTP is your no muss, no fuss, just me, you, and occasional guest type podcast. I really appreciate you tuning in. As Graham Norton would say, let's get on with the show. Hello, I am joined by rapper G-Star from New Orleans. Welcome to the show. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling great, man. How are you, man? Besides your cold, how are you doing?
Yeah, got a cold. I'm battling, but, got to labor through.
Absolutely, man.
Hopefully not too much coughing and hacking.
All right. You'll be all right. You'll be perfect. You get through it.
But I wanted to have you on, not because this show is about rap, obviously not, but your story in your bio about loss and recovery. But first, were you born and raised in New Orleans area or somewhere else and moved there?
No. I was born and raised in New Orleans, Louisiana.
Okay. So that's one place I've never been to, unfortunately.
Oh, wow.
Been
you got to go to New Orleans, man.
Yeah, it's been a place on the bucket list, but never made it.
Yeah, it's cool. You'll really enjoy it down there. We got a lot of culture there, a great experience. Mardi Gras, our food is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Just this it's a city full of culture. That's what I can tell you. If you like culture and you like just the sights and the feel of just, it looked like a whole nother country there sometimes, man. It's like a third world country, but and then New Orleans, we got our own lingo, we got our own way we communicate, how we socialize with each other, our hospitality is through the roof,
Yeah.
I love my city. I love my people from my city. I love everything about my city.
But I understand it's not very inexpensive. It's like going to the Florida Keys. Beautiful place, but not a McDonald's budget.
Right. But I mean, hey, think about it, down there, you can eat good for cheap. You know what I'm saying? The kind of just, when like I live in Vegas right now. I'm in Las Vegas, Nevada at this moment. So this is why I'm at. So like Vegas is one of the cities, like everything is really like, I would say overpriced, for the quality, but in New Orleans, you get that quality or better for a lot cheaper. It's good to eat there, man. And it's like, in Vegas, I'm more on my health kick, so I'm working out and I'm watching what I eat. But I know at home it'll probably be a different story because the food down there is so irresistible,
And I was going to mention Vegas. The closest I've gotten to New Orleans was going to the Rio and the Mardi Gras in the sky that they have over there.
Yeah, but hey, it's nothing like the experience down there in New Orleans, man. Mardi Gras, one heck of an experience that you definitely want to check out for sure.
Yeah, but Hurricane Katrina really upset your life. Tell us about that.
Well, I mean, at the time, I was living in Atlanta, Georgia, but I was down there because my mom and my whole entire family was there. So the way that it affected me, because it affected them, I necessarily, like, my mom's house was 8 feet underwater, okay? My sister's house, she stayed upstairs, but her whole bottom downstairs was, like I said, 7-8 feet of water. The water was very high because my mom, she stayed in the east of New Orleans at the time. And that whole area is like the lower ninth ward, where the levees broke at and stuff like that. So it all kind of sprinkled down. And then she stayed by the Lake Pontchartrain. So it was gone. When I went back, and like the story goes for me and how it affected me, I think I only lost like a pair of basketball shorts and some underclothes. I was in the Hampton to get washed by my mom's house because I had came down. My mom called me like in the middle of the week, right? And she was like, at the time she was dealing with, a guy friend at the time, and he drove trucks. So they was in Birmingham, Alabama, and he caught a stroke on the road. Okay. And I was in Atlanta, Georgia, which was like an hour, 2 hours away from where they were. So she happened to come out. It's like middle of the night, like, 1, 2 in the morning, traveling from Atlanta to meet them in Birmingham to get the stuff off the truck and bring it to New Orleans. And I did that. I got down there. This was like a Tuesday. It was like the middle of the week. I got down there in New Orleans. My mom and I stayed down there because I still had keys and stuff to my mom's house. So I stayed down there until she got home that Friday, right? Watch the timeline of this. This is very interesting. So she get home that Friday night with Mr. Jerry, and, he got home. Now I'm preparing to leave to go back to Atlanta Sunday, the following Sunday. Mind you, this is a Friday. So long story short, it was beautiful weather. It was August at the time. The sun was out, and they always tell you the calm before the storm. It was one of them situations. So on TV, they were saying, they got this hurricane on the way. If you could get out of here, blah, blah, blah. Those who came to evacuate to the Superdome and this, that, and other. So mind you, I lived through so many hurricanes through my time. We never ran. You see what I'm saying? We would just get our candles, get our batteries, accessories, little food, and try to ride it out. Or we would ride it out.
Yeah, you had no idea
Had
those
no idea.
levees are going to go. Yeah.
So this is the thing, right? So that Saturday, I'm contemplating. I'm saying, me, I'm like, well, I don't know if I want to leave right now or should I leave right now. So I stayed out by a friend the night before, right? The storm was getting very intense, and it had to rip through Mississippi at this point. It had to hit Mississippi. It really washed Mississippi. It hit Mississippi, Biloxi, Mississippi in a way like, wow. So this was a powerful storm. So I stayed there, and then my mom called me like 6 in the morning. I was like, hey, I think we need to go by Uncle Carl. Shout out to my Uncle Carl Marshall. He's a musician. He's the musician in my family. He lived in Houston, Texas at the time. And she was like, we need to go west. We need to go to Houston because the storm is coming from east and going to your spot in Atlanta. We'll run right into it. I said, no problem. By me being there with my vehicle and have my family and everybody, we was able to get out of there, right? We left that Sunday, and we left like 6 in the morning, 6, 7 in the morning. The traffic was so hectic. This was one of the most hectic times of my life. And it took us a 5-hour ride turned into a 24-hour ride.
Wow.
From New Orleans to Houston, because usually that's 5 hours. We got there. I was so exhausted. It was hot. It was very hot. Down south is very humid, and it was very hot. We get down to Houston. We get down there like about 6 in the morning the next day, really. And I was so exhausted. I passed out. I just laid down on the floor. I just put everything, made me a little pallet on the floor, laid down. But when I woke up at 3 o'clock in the day, the news was erupted about the storm, how it flooded. And it was saying, New Orleans is 80% underwater. And it was showing how people were stuck on the roofs. And now, mind you, I still have my phone number from even that time. My number is still a 504 area code number. So we would try to get on phone and reach out to people. The phones was dead. We couldn't get no calls out. We get only texts at the time. And mind you, social media, none of this was out at the time. You know what I mean? We just barely had emails and two-ways and stuff like that. Everybody was just stranded. It was very, very hard. We was trying to get in touch with people. I lost a little cousin in the currency of the water. The Tegas, rest in peace to him. He was 15 years old. He got kind of caught up in the currency of the water. It was a lot of, it would make you feel like it was like the end of the world because we had people stuck in attics. Let me kind of give you some of the sad stories about this. I was told that some people that I knew that their family members was like diabetics, so they didn't have any power. They couldn't get to their medication and they died. The only way that they could identify their bodies, they would have to wrap their bodies up, right? check this out. They would wrap their bodies up and put them on a post and mark the post so they could come back and identify the body of their loved one. This is something that was really going on. I had family members after everybody kind of caught up with everybody and found everybody. I had family members that I found out that was in the Superdome, that was stranded in the Superdome. It was very, like, the stories that I heard that was in the Superdome was very, very crazy. It was very much survival mode. People was getting killed. People was getting raped, defecating on themselves. It was very, very, very ugly, man. It was very, very ugly. And Katrina was something that, we watched play out in the whole country. Where's the government assistance and where is, the people that can save us and stuff like that. A lot of my people a lot of people got misplaced. A lot went back to now, from then to now. It's been, 20 years or so? 20 years or better, 19 years this year. A lot of people went back, but the spirit of New Orleans is that when you went back, you could tell the spirit had been shooken up with that storm. Just how dead it was, the dead leaves and the dead trees and from the storm. It was just very, very spooky at the time, man.
Yeah.
So
Some were able to get back in and recover property and
not necessarily, because my mom lost everything. Everything. When I went to her house, I think I went from, because I was very, very active in the music business at the time when all of this happened. I was touring with Bone Thugs and Harmony. Shout out to Bone Thugs and Harmony. And I was on the road and stuff like that. And, when I finally went back down that way, I stopped in New Orleans because I always stopped in New Orleans because New Orleans is always like a midpoint between Atlanta and Houston. You know what I'm saying? So I went there to a house and the door was open. It was nighttime. My door was open. The house was evacuated and vacated, what I'm trying to say. And they had the rings of the water. You could see it at the top of the ceiling, how high the water was in the house. If my mama would have got stuck there, she would have died. She would have died. No, yeah. She wouldn't have made it out of there at all.
Yeah.
So that was scary, man. Scary, Katrina.
Because again, that's a once in a century kind of storm that you can't really know is going to happen. Nobody expected them levees to give way. They were supposed to reinforce them over years and years and years.
Right.
Kept spending the money for other things, and hindsight being 2020, it's not a surprise, but you still don't expect it. You always hope for the best. But
yes.
So after all this, though, how did you all get it back together?
So once again, I got my whole family by my uncle safe in Houston, right? I was residing in Atlanta, Georgia at the time. I had just moved away from New Orleans in 2000, at the end of 2003. So Katrina kind of happened a year after I was gone. We got back with everybody. Everybody was in one spot. Everybody stayed by my uncle till they got their assistance from FEMA. They was getting food stamps from Red Cross. Even in Atlanta, I even was able to get some benefits from Katrina because I still had a Louisiana license and stuff like that. So, I still had a New Orleans address. So I was able to kind of benefit and help my family out from afar because I lived so far away. After a while, I wound up moving down to Houston, I think in 2007, 2 years after Katrina, because I was still heavy in the record business at the time. And I just couldn't come down there. But they got gradually together. I was back and forth a little bit, from Atlanta to Texas. I left my car down there, with them at the time, and when Katrina happened, and just so they could have whatever I had at the time, they could have it because I'll be all right where I was going back to, and I was. I had a lot of people that reached out to me in Atlanta, and had a good buddy of mine gave me a car. He just gave me a car in Atlanta when I got back, because I had to look out for my family and give them what I had. So I just kind of we picked up. They picked up with life. My sister, they found life in Houston, Texas, and Katy, Texas. That is, my family is still there right now to this day. They never went back to live or anything like that. My nieces, they grown. They finished school in Texas. You know, Texas is, I went out there for 10 years before I moved to Vegas just to get around them, just to be around them. And, you know, I was there for a minute and life be lifing. You know what they
Yeah.
say? Life be lifing. So,
Well, if you just roll over and die, right? I mean, life goes on, and you have to pick up and make
yeah,
do as you can.
yeah, man. Let me make you laugh. Let's fast forward to 2012, 2011, 2012. Better yet, 2016. I got into another career, insurance.
Oh,
I wound up becoming an insurance adjuster. I wound up working hurricanes and this, that, and another. You see? So it's like I wound up jumping into the profession and industry of insurance, and I wound up being an adjuster and made a lot of money doing it. You know, and it's been a good thing, you know, because I'm able to kind of translate the pain and the struggle from those families that lost something in a situation like that to help them, you know, be able to move forward with picking up the pieces and keep it going and being able to not, you know, prolong their claims, be effective on their claims. Because it's a hectic time, you know what I mean? So yeah, I got into it. It's crazy.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's rather it, how life can sometimes come full circle, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Have you gotten any music out of all that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I did several albums after that. Plenty. You know, it was a little different at the time because I wasn't at home creating. You know, it was just like, you know, being in New Orleans and being able to have access to the musicians and the facility that I had at the time. It wasn't there anymore. But then again, I already left anyway. I had already moved to Atlanta at the time and went on to do some bigger things in the record business and stuff and get connected on that kick. But far as the memories and far as the stuff to reflect on and the pain that we all felt, like, you know, by losing everything, you know, a lot of music came out of it, a lot of it, a lot of pain, a lot of joy, a lot of, you know, a lot of survival. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
All
yeah.
victorious, that type of energy. So yeah, absolutely.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hi, my name is Ed Bondarenka, and I host Your American Heritage on Saturdays at 2 in the afternoon on this station. Your American Heritage is a show about the struggle we find ourselves in and how to react to it in the light of our biblical and American heritage. Listen to it while you're working around the house, the garage, cleaning the guns, walking the dog, driving, or just lazing around. Join me at 2 o'clock Saturdays here on Wham Radio, 1600 AM, 92.7 FM.
God bless America.
Try to help people understand through what you had to live through.
Absolutely. Like I said, I was able to get in transition into the side of doing working claims, working hurricane claims, you know, catastrophic claims. You know, that's where it translated at. It translated more into working insurance more than the music. You know, I can only tell you what I've been through in the music, and you're gonna hear me, but it ain't gonna resonate like if you in that situation and you need somebody to walk you through the process of getting yourself putting everything back together. And that's something, you know, that I think that more translated into with my life, with my journey.
Uh-huh. And speaking of music, do you usually stick with one genre, or do you sometimes cross genres?
I cross genres. That's my specialty. I'm very versatile. I worked on so many different types of genres of music. I come up under blues. I come up in New Orleans. We had one of the Cornerstone studios down there for years. You know what I'm saying? So everybody came through that. My uncle was this big blessing to a lot of musicians because he come from the record business back in the 60s and the 70s and stuff with Bobby Womack and all of these guys. He toured with the funk, that the era with George Clinton and, you know, Could Function and all of these different guys, like in New Orleans, Chocolate Milk, and, you know, all of these different bands and stuff. So he come from that era. And it just so happened my uncle was one of those, my uncles, he was live. every time he came around, he lit the whole room up. His energy was just a spark, and I wanted to always be around him. And I took a liking. He took a special. He saw that I had a liking as a kid, as a little kid, because I could tell you he brought a beat machine. He used to bring his beat machine around all the time. I was a little kid, man. I guess I was just intrigued by gadgets and, technology at the time. And I used to always be messing with this beat machine. He ain't never not once was like, hey, don't you touch that. Nah, he would embrace it. He was like, you like that, he gave me the beat machine one day as a kid. And then a few years later, he wound up opening up the biggest studio in New Orleans at the time. And he gave me a summer job. As a kid, I was trying to hustle to get a video game, Nintendo, a Super Nintendo at the time. I was a kid, but he put me around all of the studio equipment and stuff. I always loved hip hop records. I love all type of music, but hip hop was my thing. You know what I mean? I love rap music. And I was intrigued by it. I started messing around with it and started getting familiar with the equipment, and they started showing me, really sitting me down, showing me how to use it. And it's something I never let go to this day. Yeah. Right now, I'm in my big studio because I never let that passion go. I love to create.
Yeah. So I was going to ask you, who are your influences, but you kind of already said you had a mentor right there in the family. Yeah. But who are other influencers?
Oh man, so many of them, man. Shoot, I mean, you can pick a lot of them. I mean, there's so many of them. I don't want to leave nobody out because I'm scared to even say.
I understand.
All of them. Just put it that way. Everybody who's made an impact in music, I have felt your energy, and I have taken something from it.
Yep, I don't mean to get personal, so you could tell me none of my business, but I do know the one song, Love You to Life. I like that as opposed to Love You to Death. So is there a trophy girl in your life right now? Was that about her, or was it just a generic tune?
Check this out. It's a great question. Thanks a lot. It's awesome. Because you're the first person never asked me about that particular record. On the record that I did. That's me and my DJ Blacknificent. Shout out to DJ Blacknificent. And he always in my ear about that song too. And he would trip out if you find out you asked me about this song. But my significant other, I met her after I made that record. So the shoe fit, she wear it. She loved it too, right off the back, I got a special woman. My fiance, I just proposed to her in Jamaica in 2022, I think. Yeah, 2 years ago now. So we working on trying to tie the knot soon. But yeah, that record is awesome. I love that record. It was just a feel good record. I wanted to do it for the ladies, and because in rap you got so many stereotypical bad images for women. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Especially Black women, you know what I mean? Let's just be real. And, I want to talk about the queen in them. I want to always bring out the queen in our sisters, because that's who they are. And we as the men, and being the temperature in the house, we have to change the narrative and change the energy when it comes down to our women, and start, pumping inspiration in them, and, motivation in them to be who they really are.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to ask about it, because you're right. So many negative aspects, especially in rap, it seems. It's
Absolutely.
Such a shame.
It's good we touched in this one, because my whole mission is to bring back the feel good image to what real hip hop is. Not no trend, not if you listen to a lot of my records and you listen to a lot of my stuff, even the video we just put out called Classic Status, the video 1.5 million views in 12 days and almost hitting 1 million on YouTube, and only been out a month or two. And the love that I got from it, because it got the old school hip hop feel, the raw elements of hip hop. We went back to the microphone and the DJ element. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
That's when it was good. That everybody was, it was new, but it was good. It was pure. and that's what I'm bringing back right now.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
these type of records.
Had it on my notes to bring that song up. So
Awesome. Thank you, man.
You
That's
automatically went there. So what?
Yeah.
What have you got in the works?
I got Classic Status is out. I'm working on the album. I'm supposed to put this album out over 10 years ago, man. I just saw on Facebook, I had an interview that I did with another publicist, a public figure guy, and we talked about the album back in 2014. And I'm like, wow. And it came up on my Facebook memories. And I just shared it. So people now, it's like, fast forward to 2024, it's up. So I'm working on this album now. The single, we're getting ready to shoot another video for this new single called I Win. #I Win. And it's a very, very, very positive record to me.
Yeah, that's
it's so
good.
Positive. I didn't even much get edgy and cursing it or anything like that, you know. And I'm mindful of the records that I make these days, but you know, some records you have to say certain things to get your point across, you know, and because it's hip hop. Let's not ever forget the fact of it's hip hop, it's edgy. You know, it can be raunchy, but it can be solid. It can be it could be a learning curve for many that don't know. I find myself talking to a lot of people from different walks of life about hip hop, and they hear my stuff and they have questions. You know what I mean? And I have to be able to break down my rhyme and reason why I'm saying what I'm saying. And they totally get it. It's like great conversation, you know. It's about being smart and not being ignorant to the fact that, you know, we have a code to communicate with people through a musical art form that's very strong. Music's strong, man. You know, you're a musician, you probably walk through life with like a butterfly because everybody gravitate to that side of you, you know, especially me, you know, but me being in different industries and like the tech world, the IT world, and the insurance world, and it balances me off very much so. I'm not nothing how I used to be 15 years ago, man. Not the conversation, even though my conversations was good then, but now I can socialize with people on a more intellectual point of view. You know what I mean? And not so much hip hop. I was more hip hop New Orleans.
So what is your YouTube channel?
7G. That's on YouTube. And my Instagram is Gsta_G, as well as my Twitter, Gsta_G, GSTA_G. Yeah, everybody could go to my website, SoStimulusENT.com.
I was just going to ask you for that. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, man. Look, I'm on it, you see? I got one of the hottest websites out there, man.
Yeah, give the website out again.
www.SoStimulus, SoStimulusENT.com. Just put it in mind. So stimulus check.
All right. Well, thanks for joining the show. I appreciate you coming on. Good luck to you going forward. Say hello to the family for us.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it, man. And thanks to you for having me, and much blessings on your journey with your podcast. You need me again? I'm here for another convo if you ever need me again.
Okay. Take care. Thank you for having tuned in for ChristiTutionalist Politics Show. If you haven't already, please check out my primary internationally available book, Terror Strikes, coming soon to a city near you. Available anywhere books are sold. If you have locally run bookstores still near you, they can order it for you, or autographed copies are available online direct from me via terrorstrikes.info/shop. Be sure to check out more about today's discussion at thelibertybeacon.com, where my articles drop every Saturday. And let me remind, over time, the fancy high production items will come. But for now, for starters, it's just you as a very appreciated listener by me. All substance, no fluff, no fancy high production intro or inserts, at least yet. just straight to key discussion points. A show that looks at a variety of topics, mostly politics, through a Christian U.S. constitutionalist lens. So again, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Take care. God bless. Like and subscribe to ChristiTutionalist Politics Podcast and share episodes. We need your help to grow the show. Just wanted to give a brief shout out and thank you to all the folks on iHeartRadio and Player FM for being 2 in the top 3 platforms that my show, ChristiTutionalist Politics, is most often listened to. So thank you all. Take care. God bless.
It is a myth that terrorism stopped during COVID. Unfortunately, mainstream media opted to prioritize pandemic hysteria over promoting all news. Terrorism continues. Simply hoping that it doesn't affect you is not a strategy. The new book, Terror Strikes, coming soon to a city near you, featured on The Author Show, is now available in paperback from bookstores, online, or as an ebook exclusively through Amazon Kindle. Terror Strikes, coming soon to a city near you by Joseph M. Leonard. Order today.